Alright, so finally I am in what I like to call modern PAX. This is, I explained it a lot in my last video, but in case you're jumping in at any moments, I'll just kind of do a little bit of a brief explanation here. So, if you're following along in my PAX journey from 2012 up until this point of now 2023, there's been a lot of timeline stuff happening in between. In 2017 was my last time going to PAX, in between 2017 and 2023. And at that time, I just wasn't really interested in video games. I thought they were a crutch, thought they were a burden. I was quite down on the whole video games and movie and culture and everything that I really enjoyed up until that point. I was quite negative about it all. I explained it a bit better in the 2017 video, but mostly at that time it's because I found it to be quite a distraction from my regular life things I was trying to get done. In 2017, I bought my first house with my girlfriend at the time. In 2020, I got my first dog at the time with my girlfriend. And then in 2021, we got married. And in 2022, we had our first kid. So all of that was quite a bit of life stuff happening. Not to mention my career. I was in a place in the city and I had migrated over to where I live now into where I work now, into my career, my current career. So all of that was quite a big transition and it was quite fun and I loved it and it was great. What I found is during that time, I had learned a decent amount of programming, something I'd always wanted to learn, but never could. During this time in the career focus of the world, I was kind of, dabbling in little bits of programming from web development into back-end development to the point of where I am now, where I've done quite a bit more programming. So at that time, in about 2022-ish, I started programming enough to the point where I was adjacently connected to video games. And I found my way into a little sector of the video game world where I was programming kind of a niche part of it, and it was helpful to people. And at this time, I was trying to find any way to kind of make some extra money on the side, and so I was doing some hobby stuff. And the programming led me to an opportunity for 2023 to go to PAX. The problem was, going to PAX was going to cost money. There was going to be travel expenses and there was going to be, lodging expenses. So I wasn't too into the idea. It was my wife at the time who convinced me, hey, you should probably take the opportunity. It was only 2 days at PAX. It was a Friday, Saturday. You've got a little bit of work opportunity while you're there. So you can make some money while you're there and you could probably do it decently cheap. So she convinced me and I said, you know what? Okay, I'll do it. So 2023, I bought my PAX tickets, which was a very nostalgic feeling. It was odd. At this time now, PAX had totally changed. It had gone through COVID. It had gone through a lot of weird changes, I guess, in those times that I wasn't really expecting. And for me, going into PAX now, buying tickets, you didn't have to wait in a queue or a lineup or anything and be all worried about even getting your tickets. At this time, you could just buy your tickets. I think the tickets were sold all the way up into the actual event in 2023 there, so a little bit different for me. So I decided, okay, I'll go to PAX. Well, I had a friend who had never gone to PAX with me back in the day. He was my best man at my wedding, and I was like, you know what? I'll see if maybe he wants to come, just on a whim. I sent him a message, and like seconds later, he responded, and he wanted to come too, so him and I set up on our way and we went over and did the old PAX routine, something I used to do back in the day that I explained in my videos, the way I used to go to PAX. This is not a cushy way to travel, and now that I was older, it was not super comfy. Wasn't bad, it definitely wasn't bad, it was just a different experience than when I was a younger man. So we took, I was going to say a Bolt bus, but that's what they used to be called. We took a Flix bus, I think it was, over to Seattle, which was way longer than I remember them being. It was about a 4-hour drive, I believe, close to 4 hours. Stopped off in way more areas than I remember it ever stopping off in, so it was a longer experience than I was used to. But it did get us there to Seattle. We got to, I think it was King's Station again, and at that point, we were like, okay, it was the Thursday, so we had to go get our tickets. So went off to go get our tickets. PAX this year had the best theme ever. It was this nostalgic 90s style, 80s, 90s, old computer tech style theme. I didn't realize how good it was at the time, and I wasn't really at this moment, I still wasn't like totally convinced that PAX is something I was going to be doing yearly and something I really wanted to be a part of. So I wasn't buying merch or anything, which is one of my biggest regrets. I really, really wish I bought merch from this year because it was the best theming style for PAX that I could think of. It was my favorite. It was super me, and I just really loved it. So anyways, we went and we got our badges, and the badges pickup was in... Where was the badges pickup? Was it the Sheraton? I think it was, yeah. The badges pickup was at the Sheraton Hotel this year, which was funny. I was explaining to my friend all about the old PAX and how it used to take over the hotels and everything there, and I was just curious what this year was going to be like. So we got our tickets, and then we went and we visited my buddy from Seattle, who I hadn't seen in over 5 years, I think. So it had been a little while, and it was cool to go see him and just kind of reconnect again like the old days. It's very, very fun. I really enjoyed that. He was so nice to just like let us come and hang out and see us again. So that was really fun. And then we had a quick little night. We played like Dead by Daylight, and oh, you know what we did? We checked it out because there was the new convention center this year. So this was something that I had just found out, is that there was a new Seattle Convention Center. I found this out like a month before we left, and I was so curious because I was like, what is PAX going to look like in a new convention center instead of the old one? I didn't realize it was split between the two. And now, to make things even stranger, the new convention center seemed from the outside, to me at least, that it could hold all of PAX within it. So we still had like the old convention center, the annex, which was like connected to the old convention center, and then the new building, which was like a block away or something. And then they were going to like block off the alleyway in between for food trucks and whatnot. So this whole thing was strange, but I was excited to see what it would look like. So we walked over to that new convention center, kind of added that into my kind of routine, I guess, just to kind of see what does it look like. You know, can we go in? We couldn't go in, but we're able to see the building, which was very unique, very cool, very big building. One thing I wasn't totally aware of at the time was that Nintendo was doing an event, and they were actually taking up most of the old convention center. And you had to have tickets to this event that weren't your PAX tickets. You needed a warp pipe ticket, I believe it was called. And we didn't have them. I didn't know about it. It was too late. So by the time I found out about it, we didn't have our tickets. So we never got to go to the Nintendo event. So because of that, PAX was a little bit cut down to a tiny convention, well, smaller convention center over in like the annex and the Skybridge area of PAX. And then it was over here at the new Summit Center. So that it was different. It was definitely different. It was one of my least favorite configurations for the PAX like floor of it all. PAX was not bad this year by any means. It was just, as far as the configuration goes for laying things out, I didn't like that the show floors were split between kind of a building over here and a building way down over there for the PAX kind of, you know, video game dev hall stuff. Yeah, these days they do it a little bit better, and I'll explain that in a more future video. But anyways, we saw the new building, thought it was great, and we went to GameWorks for that night because I hadn't been to GameWorks in so long. GameWorks had actually closed its doors. It ran out of money or something. I'm not sure what happened. And then they opened up, I think, the year prior to this, 2022. So I showed my buddy all about GameWorks. We went. I remember we hadn't hung out in a while. So we also have wives and lives and not time to just kind of do stuff. So we were suddenly in an arcade bar, and we're in like Seattle. He had never been to Seattle. He's barely been to the States. And we're just standing there, and we're like, oh my gosh, we can just like get some drinks and play pinball and video games. It was awesome. So we just ran around GameWorks having so much fun like we were kids again, except for we could drink, which is awesome. I had recently redone my driver's license, which was not a problem, but they give you a temporary driver's license. So I had a big piece of paper instead of like an actual card. And so here at the bar, I had my passport, my Canadian passport, and I tried to use that as my ID. They wouldn't take it. So I was like, oh my gosh, I might not have ID to buy alcohol. So I then showed them my driver's license, which is this big folded piece of paper, this big yellow piece of paper. I remember the bartender looking at it being like, I don't think I should do this, but I'll do it anyway. So they were very nice to me. I appreciated it. They gave me the stamp. It was legit. If you read the information on the paper, it just, they weren't used to British Columbia, I think, and they also weren't used to a temporary driver's license paper at the time. But we got our drinks. Bartender was super nice. We tipped them well. They gave us a peanut butter and jelly shot. It was the weirdest thing ever, but I liked it. It was pretty good. So we played a whole bunch of games here. I remember us playing some of the gun games. Shuffleboard? We played that a lot. Wait, air hockey, not shuffleboard. We played air hockey a whole bunch there. There's this one Miss Pac-Man arcade machine that I love. It's not great. It's like a modded machine. It's not like a regular machine. It's not like super fast. I've seen better ones that are like the fast Miss Pac-Man. But there's just something about the nostalgia of this machine for me and the history of this machine. I've been going back to it multiple times over the years that I love. So I go to that machine all the time. I get a Guinness and I sit there and I play. I've never done very well on this machine. It's kind of bad luck for me, I think, but I still like it. It's kind of a part of my GameWorks routine if I can get to that machine. So we played on that one a few times. And yeah, all in all, just really enjoyed my time at GameWorks. So we went to bed. My buddy and I kind of got up a little bit early in the morning. He's a coffee drinker. I'm not a coffee drinker, so I don't know a lot about where to get a good cup of coffee or anything like that. But we were on our way to the convention center to go line up, and I remember him saying like, "Oh, I just need to find a cup of coffee." And I was like, "Oh, there's gonna be places everywhere." I was like, "We're in Seattle, so this is where like Starbucks started." I was like, "There's a Starbucks in like every block here. Like, you'll be fine." And then he then proceeded to tell me how Starbucks coffee, like you can't get a coffee the way he just wanted like a, I don't know, he just wanted like a medium coffee, you know, like a regular coffee or something. And he decided to tell me that like you can't get that at Starbucks. And I was like, I was blown away. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, just, can we, like, let's just go to Starbucks. So I took him to Starbucks. He got in a line and he ordered a coffee. And he like took one sip and he's like, yep, it's not made right, or something like that. I honestly, I'm probably butchering what was his problem. I don't exactly understand what his coffee problem was, but he threw it out. And I remember thinking, how are we in the heart of downtown Seattle and you can't get a cup of coffee? This is ridiculous. So I pointed out a bunch of other places he could go. There was one spot that I think he kind of had as like his go-to coffee spot. It's like right on Pike Street. On the way to the convention center, but it was just really, that moment at Starbucks just, I found very funny. As a non-coffee drinker looking in on that life for a second, I found that very funny. So we got into PAX, we lined up. I've seen some other people's videos on PAX convention floors where I can see us in the lineup, so I'll see if I can find that footage. It's very funny. I try to find us in other people's PAX videos all the time, but every now and then I see a little glimpse of my buddy, or sometimes I see myself. So we lined up and we got in. And I just remember we made a beeline to the dev floor. We went up by the Sky Bridge there, and we went right to the dev floor on that Friday morning. And I just remember it was like so quickly. We were in the middle of like just game to game to game to game, talking to dev to dev to dev to dev. I took very few photos, but I was just right in the middle of all these conversations with all these devs. And I just loved it. It was so much fun. I immediately was right back in that whole PAX mode of just enjoying myself and being there. I got a lot of work out of it at the time too, which was interesting. I made a lot of network connections and things, and I was much more into the whole business side of it at that moment, but it was so much fun. I just really, really enjoyed it. And PAX slowly got its little hooks in me and got me right back into that environment. So for the entire Friday, we just went around the show floor finding what we thought was cool and fun. My buddy was a Twitch streamer at the time and was really into some of the other devs. He had met a lot of people there that he already knew from online, so we got to meet up with them. He went to like the social media panel or meetup thing. I think it was a meetup for them. So we got to talk to like a few different people from that. And we just had a lot of fun there. The speedrunning stage, I remember that was new. That wasn't there back in the day, and they now have a speedrunning stage over at the convention center. And we went over there and we watched a lot of speedruns. My buddy was kind of new to speedrun, so I was explaining what I could to him, and we were just enjoying watching what we watched. And they had the arcade free play, which was fantastic. They had these Japanese arcade cabinet machines there, the Chewies or something. I can't remember what they're called, but they had Puyo Puyo playing there. Puyo Puyo Sun was on an arcade cabinet, and I spent a good hour and a half just playing Puyo Puyo. I loved it. It was fantastic. The feeling of the arcade machine and playing that game was so good. I like did not want to leave. I also watched a bunch of guys playing Street Fighter V on an arcade cabinet, and they got really intense at their tournaments, and it was really good. It was honestly, that Friday was so much fun. I absolutely enjoyed myself. For the Saturday, same kind of thing. We went in, we did the same stuff. My buddy was starting to get a little bit drained. I could tell. he wasn't used to the PAX environment, and going right back into the same things was like, oh god. He had also tried to do some kind of like social networking stuff and gone to parties and stuff outside of the PAX environment, which wasn't totally his scene, but he did it anyways because it was new and something he could try, so he tried it. And I know he wasn't super into that, so we had that. And at the time, I had a young kid. So on the Saturday, we were going through our PAX stuff, and I got a phone call from my wife who was like, this is difficult, being home alone, and more difficult than she realized, and we weren't going to be back until like Sunday late at night with our regular plans. So she was like, you got to do whatever you can do to get back early tomorrow, like as early as you can. So Saturday night, I'm sitting at the speed running stage with my buddy, and we're sitting there watching the speed running thing, and we're thinking like, oh, PAX is so fun. Meanwhile, I was like, oh, I have to find a better way home. So we ended up I booked tickets for the Clipper ferry from Seattle over to Victoria, and I made arrangements with a friend who was going to be able to get us back home early in the morning. So this was like, we were going to have the most rushed morning the next morning. So it was unfortunately a little bit of a damper on the end of the PAX trip. It's for a good reason, of course. It was just to go from that really fun, awesome environment to just really have to cut it quick, short. So we got our stuff. We went back home. I think we got back to our place at like 12 o'clock at night or so. Went to sleep. We were up by 4 so we could get to the ferry terminal downtown Seattle there for like 5 o'clock. So we were one of the first to line up. We were there. We were ready. We got on the ferry, took it back over. Our buddy picked us up somewhere early in the morning and then took us back to where we live. So it was kind of just like a fast turnover there at the end. So unfortunately it ended really quick. But I will say, man, those 3 days there were so good. They were so good. I knew I was going back the next year, and it was solid. So 2023 was a fantastic PAX year for me. It really, really got me back into the whole thing. I loved it, and I couldn't wait to do more. So I'll tell you more about the next one, 2024. It's a fun year as well. And working our way up here to 2025, and then this year with 2026. So I'll see you in that video then. Okay. Bye.